Hello, dear friends. My lovely audiences, welcome to the East West Show. Jack Chow, your host with the GNE TV. Today, we are touching the subject again for the Supreme Court nomination. It is important. This is rather important. Should we wait till November? Should we not wait till November? Well, that's a big question. That is related so heavily to the nation. With me is my good friend, my mentor kind of brother, Mr. Drexel Smith. Mr. Drexel Smith is a very active member of the society, the nowadays society. Not only that, but he used to be a consultant of many cross-country, cross-nation projects. One of them was a nuclear project between U.S. and China, whereby he applied his expertise and being a consultant. And he also is a proud Rotarian for so many years, almost his whole life. And he went to India, went to, what is that, not Somali, right?
Not Somalia.
Not Somali, right? Those third world or fourth world left behind countries to help people there, the needy people there, to get to their water. Not only that, but to get them on their feet for their own enterprises to make a living for. So, and now I have him consulted on the political front, talking about the nomination. So with that as a lead line, which is a little lengthy, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right, very good. I like your bow tie, by the way.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
You dressed up for me or for my audiences?
Only for you, Jack.
Oh, not my audiences?
Well, of course, of course.
Okay, very good. So, my audiences, let's start. Talking about a nomination from 5 down to 3, down to 1. Judge Brett Kavanaugh, right? So how much do you know about him, please? I know I'm not talking about personally. I'm talking about how much you know by name, by reputation, by whatever he's been doing.
Well, my knowledge of Judge Kavanaugh is limited to what's been published in the press. I've never met the gentleman, nor his family. But I think, Jack, we might want to take a couple of steps backwards
Okay, good.
and just sort of frame the picture.
I agree.
And as you know, I spent 15 years in public office at the local level, mayor of a city here in California. That got me very sensitive to the political process that we have in our country. At the local level of the political process, our country works much like many other countries in the world. The community has local leaders that make local decisions for actions, and in some respects, the majority of people are directly impacted more by that local decision maker
All right.
than at the national level,
All right. Okay.
in some respects.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yes.
Okay? You know, are the roads fixed?
Yeah.
Do I have clean water? When I flush, is
Yeah,
the sanitary
exactly,
system
exactly.
working?
Yeah.
You know, the host of things about our life are really managed at the local level. And to a great extent, at the local level, it's not partisan politics.
All right.
It's not part of a party of right, left, conservative, not conservative. It's, are we electing people that can manage the job, not tax everything I owe, but keep the streets
That's a good
fixed?
part. That's a good part. Yeah,
You know?
Yeah.
Are they honest, or are they dipping in the bucket to feed themselves.
Or even stick their hands in your pocket.
Or exactly. But as we elevate the process, here in California, the state government is so big. It's the 7th largest economy in the world, just out of California. And my goodness, when we get to the national level, it even gets, in many respects, more disconnected. So I wanted to lead in with that frame because in some respects, it's important to take a deep breath and to remember the fundamentals. Our national government was formed by the framers as a beautiful thing because it has 3 legs of the stool.
Yeah.
It is the legislative branch, Congress, made up of the House and the Senate, that make the laws. We elect the People's House every 2 years to do that. Very frequent. Now, many of them stay for a long time, but the opportunity for change
They have the standard.
every 2 years. The Senate every 6 years. So those are the people that are supposed to make the law. The law is implemented by the administrative branch, the Presidente,
All right.
and his staff, his cabinet, and the departments. Their job is to take the laws that Congress make and to implement.
The implement department, executive department.
But very special Supreme Court. Their job is to make sure that the other 2 remain in harmony with the Constitution.
To make sure they love each other.
No. I correct you on that. It's not. Their job should be very simple and straightforward. It's to make sure that the laws that are made are consistent with the Constitution.
Yes.
So you would think with that very straightforward assignment, picking a judge to serve would be pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Find the smartest legal mind that can stay with the Constitution, because that's their job, to make sure that the other 2 branches are living within the Constitution. But we've made it complicated. We've
Yes,
made
we
it
do.
complicated
Yes, we do.
because we have spun the job into allowing the judges to implement their own view on many issues, as opposed to implementing and making sure the Constitution is being implemented.
All right. Good. And I would say I thank you very much on behalf of my audience for the very basic, because we are too busy on a day-to-day rotation. Well, even me do not have the time to give my audience the very basic. So with a thorough understanding of the very basic things, number 1, come to a conclusion that not supposed to be very complicated. They're so simple. So 1, 2, 3, that's it. Something like that. And on the other, things are complicated. That's the problem. That is exactly the problem. And this is the area we want to talk about today, right? So now, give you the example. The bakery case, right? The cake case, right? So
We talked about that.
Yeah,
on the
yeah. You
television
remember
show.
that? Yeah.
Yes.
Thank God we have a 5-4, right? So thank God we get that confirmed. We can get overturned, right? Why we get that overturned? It's a 1 vote. the decisive vote, only one vote. Should the vote be on the other side, we are not seeing what we see now. We're still talking about the old cake. Now we're talking about brand cake. So even though simple, even though the job is simple, in critical cases though, at a critical moment, we have to make it very critical because this is related to the whole country where we're going. So do you think that makes sense? Put it two, please.
Well, I love two-handed scientists because they say, on the one hand, oh, but on the other hand.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
So taking the baker's case, on the one hand, I would have thought that the issue was so straightforward, it should have been 9-0 at the Supreme Court.
All right.
It was so clear that the baker has rights to be protected. But the argument and the core of the argument is, what right does the gay couple have versus what right does the baker have?
All right.
Now all of a sudden, instead of taking something very fundamental, that I'm a business person and I should have the fundamental right to do business who I want to do business with, we're now getting the government involved, telling that business who they have to do business with. I think it's fundamentally wrong, in my opinion.
It is.
For the government to be involved in the first place.
I am with you on this one.
I'm just absolutely clear to me.
111%.
It's just so clear to me.
Yeah, I do think so. I do agree with that. And that's exactly, my dear friends, the importance of the talk today. For this one judge, Supreme Court judge, for his one vote, it is the one vote that may lead the country going north or south, west or east, right? So that is the importance, right? So if we do not want to lose our own value, if we do not want to lose our own constitutional right, we really have to make sure, the whole country, the entire trepidation is here, exactly here. Should this person, respectively, Judge Kavanaugh, keep up the good record, something like that. All right, good. Now, my major concern, my dear audience, today with me sharing the major concern, which is a concern of every American, single American now, that is the nomination of the Supreme Court Judge Brett Kavanaugh. And joining me is my good friend, Mr. Drexel Smith. We'll take a break. We will come back to continue talking about the importance, we'll probably will flip everything over. Hello, dear friends, lovely audiences. Welcome back to the show, Jack Chow, on the issue of the nomination, the Supreme Court nomination made by President Donald Trump to Judge Brett Kavanaugh. Yes, he had been a judge for the United States
District Court,
District Court of the D.C. or district, the 9th district, right?
Right.
Nice, right? Yes, with me is my good friend, Mr. Drexel Smith, my dear brother of the same mother. Right, good. Well, somebody spelled the last name wrong, Smith. It should be Chow, something like that. Okay, anyway. All right, so welcome back to the show. Right, good.
Thank you.
To the point, right? It is a simple matter as you now analyze it, right? It is a 3-branch, everybody does his job. 1, 2, 3, let's keep it balanced. Well, if they do not hug each other, at least they do not fight like seriously. Well, like knock somebody's head off, right? Something like that. And then it kind of a supervision amongst the three, right? So that balance is checked. So we call it the checks and balance. Right? So that's the system. But we'll look at the matters, look at the cases, look at the scenarios that we have to deal with, which made the call so important, right?
Well, Jack, let's
My
let's
question,
look
let me
at.
finish my question.
Okay.
Had this country not going to the left that much, though, do we have to worry that much about a one-seat change? Right? Remember, when I came here, I knew more American politics than what I do now, because I was in school, right? So I never recall a period of time during the past decades. I've been here more than 3 decades already. Never a period that people pay attention this much to a nomination of single seat. So can you tell me first from a historical point of view, because you lived long enough to tell, please.
Well,
I'm serious.
I'm not sure if it's a compliment for you to call me historic or not.
Yeah, I would like to take it as a compliment.
Okay.
Right?
Too much gray hair.
Yeah, I know that. That exactly gives us the seniority.
Yeah.
Why you talk, not me?
Frost on the shingles,
Okay.
as they say.
Okay, frost on the shingles.
It is my opinion that the Supreme Court and the controversies surrounding choices has been with us since the founding of our country. I think what's newer today is the political side recognizing the important role of the Supreme Court and using the Supreme Court not for the job they were intended to do, to provide a check and balance against the Constitution, but to influence decisions, and in some cases, almost having the court be another legislative body. That's my fear, that the court, Supreme Court, and even lowers below, have become more and more another legislative body. It's almost like the legislatures create a law, but the court has to make a decision whether it's okay or not. That's part of their job, but then they rewrite the rules. And we see that here in California all the time.
Let me put it in the simple language, in the average Joe and Sue language, to see if I understand you right. Let's say we have a basketball game,
Okay.
right now, and you're a team A, I'm team B, right? And we have a referee who is the judge, right? So now, it is you take that as your job to convince the judge, to convince the referee to judge your way, your favor. And I do the same thing to make sure that I pick a judge, I pick a referee that will judge my way, to my favor. Instead of being the fact that we are just players, we just play. You and I, team A and team A. Team A and team B just play. Let the referee do his job, that's it. Whatever he does, that's his job. So am I right understanding what you're trying to tell us?
Yes, but I'd like to add one more piece to the puzzle. I would like to hope that the referee uses the rule book of the agreed to rules of playing basketball. What the fear that I have is that the referee that I bring in is being influenced by a team to change the rules.
Yes, that's exactly where the worries are.
You see, that's the fear, that the court has begun to exceed the limits of their authority and not use the rule book that we've all agreed to follow. Everybody signed up to say, we're going to play a game and here's the rule book. Now we're allowing the courts to have so much influence, they're changing those rules. Okay?
All right, okay.
Their job should be very straightforward.
It is exactly the situation.
Follow the rule book.
Yes, that should be. That's what should be.
But let me give you an example of where it gets very complicated. The very difficult discussion of abortion. So you take the very simple phrase out of the Constitution that we all have a right, of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah, it's written in the Constitution.
Very fundamental words out of the Constitution
All right, okay.
that almost are the foundation of much of the rest of the rule book.
Of the whole U.S. value.
A right, liberty, pursue life. So we have one group that says life is not sustainable by the woman until a certain stage of pregnancy. You have another group that says, no, I want to define life at the moment of conception, and I interpret the Constitution that life
Very moment, the little life
has
already
a right.
exists, a right given by Constitution.
This group says that woman has a right to control and manage her own body. That fertilized egg has no possibility of life until a certain stage of progress.
Okay.
How do you sort that against the Constitution?
Yeah.
That's why it's been such a ferocious argument.
And could the science kick in at this very moment? So for this little,
This fertilized egg,
just the moment and the egg is fertilized.
Yes.
Is that alive or not?
that's Group A.
Forget Group A.
Group A says that's a life that's to
life.
be protected.
All right, the life, that's a life. And then the argument stays. The argument stays, right? Because the life, every life, regardless of big life or small life whatsoever, right? When once a life is conceived, and it's a life.
Yes.
Right?
But now you have the pursuit of liberty for the woman.
All right. In other words, another life controls this small life, right? This little life, this teeny tiny life,
That's right.
right? To let it live or not let it live.
Yeah. And it's only because of technology that we're now arguing whether this embryonic egg can survive at X weeks or Y weeks, because now we can take it and put it in some technological environment to allow it to finish growing.
Could we do this? Could we do, upon scientific research, to testify the moment when it's conceived is whether alive or not? If not, at what stage of pregnancy it becomes alive? For
Well-
example, 4 weeks, 8 weeks, whatsoever, something like that.
That's
And then we establish a law. Somebody writes a bill.
But
right?
that's exactly the argument that's going on. At what point is that life sustainable without the mother, even if you extract it and put it in the technological environment? That's why the anti-abortion side of the discussion keeps shortening the time okay? From 9 months to 7 to 6, and now we have examples of a relatively very
True.
short time in the mother
No,
that you can.
almost to the moment
Well, no,
of
no, no,
conceiving,
no, no. It's
the next conceived.
yeah, it's somewhere 12 weeks maybe, 9 weeks. I doubt, but
All right, anyway.
there's a point to which
All right, good.
that can be defined.
I'm very happy that the two men sit here to discuss a woman issue. It's not a woman issue, as a matter of fact. It's human
Well,
rights issue.
it's an example,
And,
Jack,
yeah,
of the
sure,
challenges.
Sure. Let's take a short moment now. We come back to continue. This is a rather interesting issue. So stay with us, please. Hello, my dear friends, lovely audiences. Welcome back to the show. You, dear ladies and gentlemen, my dear friends, fellow Americans, welcome back to the show. As a matter of fact, we're talking about some serious issues. Right? You may think about we are talking about women issue. No, we're talking about life issue, and the issue exactly deprived from. Coming from the fact that we're talking about the differences of the schools. Now we have school A and school B over the abortion issue, and we talk about the Supreme Court nomination. Where would this new judge could stand, something like that, from that point on? And my friend Jackson Smith is sharing his concern about this issue, which may be the only one or the one of the very important issues that leads the nation's whole conceptual world, right? That is abortion. Right now, without touching the fact that would Brett Kavanaugh stay on the human right or woman right side or the whatsoever, the abortion, pro-abortion tide, or not pro-abortion, anti-abortion tide aside, forget that part a little bit. We talk about where you stand, where I stand. How about that? Using you and me as an example to stretch the discussion, to cover, to see the value, the American value, especially when life's concerned, where's the limit? How about that?
Well, I'd like to come back, if I can, Jack, one
Please.
more time to the fundamentals.
All right.
If the people, the 340 million people in our country, want to get together and the majority speak and pass a law on a particular issue through our Congress, remember the Supreme Court's job should be very simple. Does that law stay within the Constitution? I brought up the abortion issue to show that the arguments can get complicated because in one phrase, the right for liberty and life can be at odds where I'm going to argue one word, you're going to argue another word, we come to a different conclusion.
Exactly.
Okay? My point is, I would like to see the court populated with 9 people that are strict constitutionalists, that are experts on the law, and they can do their job of the check and balance to make sure that the laws stay within the Constitution. That's their job. It's up to the people working with Congress and our system to create laws that reflect the attitudes of the people, again, with this umbrella.
Yes.
You follow me?
Yeah. Once again, you're talking about what should be.
That's the way it should work.
I'm talking about reality.
Well, we have an opportunity now to populate the Supreme Court with a strict constitutionalist. And President Trump announced before his election a list of candidates of 25 potential judges, all noteworthy, all pledging to be strict constitutionalists.
Okay, all right.
What concerns me, before the nomination, before the vetting, before we look at the ability of that individual to be a good jurist, we have the Democratic Party saying, we don't care who it is, we're going to challenge it. We're going to use our might, our press, our lobbying, our communication ability, and we're going to begin to spin everybody that'll listen to us against the nominee regardless. I'm sorry, Jack, I am strongly
To
opposed.
disagree for the purpose of disagreeing.
Exactly, because they don't want a strict constitutionalist. They want somebody on the bench that will implement their views, just like your example
And again,
of changing the rule
and
book.
again, and again, their position might also be constitutional and very constitutional. Okay, now, when you talk about life, right? You talk about right to its own life. Am I right? Does
right.
that right include women's life?
Well, that's
Now, if I'm a woman, I would say I'm the boss of my body.
oh, and you'd be a beautiful woman.
Whatever happens, oh, thank you very much. Whatever happens inside my body is my own business. That is my right. She can claim that way. And then, what you described, they have a ground too. The ground is solid too. So, we're in an impasse.
Well, it's because we have people so passionate in their opposing points of view that they want to define life as that moment of conception, not recognizing the reality that from that moment of conception, for some period, now we get into the scientific argument, at what point can that life sustain itself?
Yeah. That's why.
Okay.
That's why you and I, we were talking about a while ago.
Yeah.
Let science kick in.
Well,
To make a
science has
definition.
kicked in, but you still have the very strong position of many people that say, I don't care about science. That life begins at conception and should be protected. You have the other argument that says, wait a minute, the woman has a right
That's
to her
exactly
body.
why.
It's the heart of the.
Yeah, that's exactly why I suggest to let the science kick in, make a definition, and a strong definition that is backed up by the humanly known science, right? And then based upon that, let's write another law and throw it in and sign into laws and make it so lawful. There is a line or division before or after whatever that day, like 4 days, 4 weeks, or 8 weeks.
Whatever
Do you
the
think-
number.
Yeah, whatever. Do you think that's possible?
Well, there's been many attempts to.
That will save us lots of the hustle rustles.
Jack, there's been many attempts to do exactly what you say
All right.
at the state and national level. The problem with that is you have the two groups that are so strong in their views that they don't support that.
They're evenly strong.
They're evenly
strong, yes.
and they're very close to being 50-50. You know, it shifts from 45 to
Evenly
55
strong,
back
yeah,
and
yeah.
forth. But you have the two groups that are saying, I won't support that because philosophically, I support
Why
conception.
don't we make a bill, right? Put it on ballot.
Yeah,
Let the voters decide.
well, that's clearly another option.
Yeah. say, hey, 50-50 or 49-99-99, 51-1-0001, something like that. Okay, let's write a bill and throw it to the ballot, even November ballot, whatsoever, and let them decide where to go.
Well-
once it is passed, or 51 days, or 40 days, or 6 weeks,
Whatever the number.
whatever.
Jack, your thought is exactly how, in my opinion, the three legs of government should work. But reality is, what's happening right now is the Supreme Court is being used.
Yeah,
It's being used
you're right.
to influence.
You're right.
So they bring their personal opinion to the bench, and they don't stay with the basketball rule book. They're now changing the rules depending on the case that comes forward.
You're right. You're right.
And that's what I strongly disagree with. I would like to see the court populated by strict constitutionalists that just stay with interpreting the court. That's their job. Not rewriting legislation.
Of course, it is a big argument over the abortion issue. And the other big issue is the legalization of same-sex marriage. Both of them spearheaded, tackles the United States Constitution, right? Okay, with
I
these
think the
two,
second biggest
with the-
issue is
well,
probably gun control.
with
but-
the two hanging, these two hanging,
Yeah.
the whole nation is going to be stirred up forever,
Sure.
right? So can we not find a solution to seize it down, to find a conclusion, to get it over with?
Yeah, Jack, it's not to the advantage of either major political party to bring closure to this problem.
All right, let the constituents decide, let the voters decide. My dear friend, and with me, my good friend Jackson Smith, who I thank a lot, appreciate super highly, is that always at a time of difficulties like this, always come to help me. Now he's sharing his concept. I believe it makes a lot of sense, so that I have at this moment to throw what I have into the discussion to see if that might be a choice, right? Okay, my dear friend, we'll be right back, please. Hello, dear friends. Welcome back to the show, Jack Chow on the East-West discussion with GNE TV. It is always a concern to this whole team that whatever is being argued at this very moment is our topic, top of the topics. So right now, with the nomination of the Supreme Court Judge, Judge Brett Kavanaugh, we really worry about where he is going to stand, especially on the typical issue of the abortion issue. And also, of course, the same-sex marriage is over, so could that be overturned? I don't know. And I'm checking with my friend, Jackson Smith, who is my mentor, who always comes to me at a time when I'm confused, a time of difficulty, such as right now, to help, sharing his thoughts. So come back to him, Drexel, sir. To the point, we come to one simple way that might hold the solution, right? To let the voters decide at which point life starts based upon certain scientific research. And you're saying that it's been worked on for quite some time. Why couldn't we come to a conclusion such as, let's go vote?
Because both sides are so dug in and passionate that by defining that and ending the argument eliminates them continuing to have a voice on the matter. Let me use as an example a recent Supreme Court case that's probably even more enlightening that many of your listeners might not have paid a lot of attention to. But that was the recent ruling where union members that work for governments cannot be forced to pay into the union.
Even though they are not a union member.
Okay?
Yeah.
Jack, the significance of that Supreme Court decision goes to the heart of unionism in this country, of forcing people to pay dues into an organization that is there for political purposes.
Yes.
And the unions are the mother's milk of the Democratic Party. So think about what I said at the break. Neither major political party has an interest to solve this argument. It's not to their interest.
Yeah. They do not want to step ahead. They don't want to. Neither of them. None
No,
of them want to.
they want to be
move
viewed
forward.
as the knight on their horse that's going to represent your strong view of either this side or this side. And if you take away those issues, you take away my willingness to support the party. And remember that what supports the party is mother's milk
Are
and
you
its
saying
money.
that? Are you saying that both of them are using the issue as their banner?
Absolutely. And to get funding and to keep them in office.
So that
They
they
have
do
no
not.
interest to
so
solve
that
this
they
problem.
do not want to get over with. Otherwise, I will lose my banner.
Absolutely.
That is why. That is where.
Absolutely.
It comes to.
So keep the spin spinning.
Another word. At no time would science definition kick in.
That, in my opinion, it'll never happen.
Okay, put that aside. Okay, let's wait and let each of them keep the banner that they can rattle, right, like
Yep.
that whatsoever. Okay, now that we mentioned about the same-sex marriage legalization, though, right? Do you think somehow this issue will be brought up? I know that the Supreme Court has nothing to do if there is no case brought to them. Right? They can't say, hey, I'm walking in the door, let's re-vote. They cannot do it, right? Unless there is another issue, right? Suppose if there is another issue, there's one more time that issue, and that is thrown to the court, though. Do you think there is a chance, or slightest a chance, of bringing it back to where it was?
Well, court cases happen all the time. And again, I want to be very clear, Jack, with you and your listeners. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not trained in the law. I'm not a jurist.
But your common sense.
But yeah, I simply
Just
try to follow the
just use the
news.
frost on the shingles. That will probably give us the.
But let me give you an opinion. It's my opinion that even the gay community is shocked at how rapidly
Things are moving.
things changed in their favor with Supreme Court rulings that recognize their rights as individuals. I think they thought it would take generations, plural, for that evolution to happen. It's happened in a very short period of time. And in my opinion, the Supreme Court has spoken rather loudly that your sexual orientation doesn't matter. You enjoy those rights. And what happened in the cake incident and now the florist incident that's following is for somebody to stand up and say, time out, I have rights too. So we need to revisit where this is.
Exactly. The fact that we talk about two issues at one time is that they are interrelated.
They are.
And now they are in a contrary. They are kind of contradictory to each other. Now that on one hand, these rules, the Supreme Court rules say, hey, it is illegal not to serve you.
But
right?
no, that's not what happened.
What happened?
The Supreme Court ruling with the cake baker was an extremely narrow ruling. The cake baker said, I will sell you a cake. You pick a cake out of my store, you can buy it. Where I draw the line is I will not use my artistic creativity to design a cake to your sexual
Yeah.
preference that I'm against.
All right, okay.
And the court agreed that by him using his artistic abilities, it would violate his rights.
Yeah.
But it didn't mean, and the cake baker didn't apply to say, I didn't want to give them sale.
All right, good.
I won't
There's
use my
only
creativity.
a game of words, all right?
No, it was a
It
very
looks
narrow
to
ruling.
me, it looks to me that you are offering your 100% of a service or 50% of service.
Yeah.
Right? For example, if you want me to support you, I would say I will support you with my legs, not with my hands. All right? Something like that. I will
No.
support you with my whatsoever. Okay, now, to me,
No. I think you're missing the point.
no, I'm not missing any point. Right?
The baker says, I haven't refused them to buy goods.
yeah.
I refuse to use my creativity.
When I come to your shop, I'm not only buy your cake, I buy your artistic specialties. Am I right? Now that you are a bakery, you are the shop the shop operator. You're supposed to, number one, permit whatever the cake I want. And number two, do whatever you deserve. You're licensed to do for your specialties by doing the design, something like that. Then these are included, so you can't separate them.
But the cake baker said, for any cake that's already made, my standard cake, you can buy it.
No, I don't like it.
He didn't refuse.
No, I don't like it. Right? You want me to buy cake B? No, I don't like cake B. I want a cake A,
No,
and I
he
want to
wanted
buy
them
your
to design-
expertise.
No, the issue was they wanted him to design a cake for them.
Yeah,
And he said,
I buy
no.
your designing.
That's right.
All right,
And
here's
that's
my
where he
here's
said,
my money. I buy you to design.
that's where he drew a line in the sand and said, no,
Yeah.
now you're interfering with my rights.
Plus, my dear brother, it's a case law country. All right? I believe, do you or do you not agree, disregard, this case law will stand.
Oh, I think
right.
so.
To 98% of people, they will take it as a case law. I mean, this is a law case, right? They will refer to, look at the cake case, right? They will say that way.
But Jack, what I wanted to bring to light in this discussion was for 20 years, we've seen the Supreme Court march like soldiers supporting the gay right for almost all cases until the cake. Now, for the first time, we see a little pushback and for the first time, a line in the sand that says, wait a minute, we've allowed the government to go too far to where giving rights to one group is now interfering with another group. So for the first time, we're beginning to make that definition that you called for on the abortion issue, on the gay issue. I'm not sure whether that's going to end up with the gun issue and some of the other contemporary issues.
Oh my God.
But again, my plea is we have allowed the political systems to get so big and powerful. And I think we need to take a breath and a time out by saying, you mean the Democratic lawmakers are starting to lobby days before the nomination that they don't care who's chosen, they're going to be against, should be equally negated. The country should stand up and say, that's not doing your job.
Yeah, and I disagree with that kind of a take because you can say you agree or you do not agree. You can't say whatever you do, I disagree.
They have an obligation to listen to the testimony.
Yeah, the prerequisite saying It seems to me that I make my declaration that I swear not to do my job.
They have an obligation to listen to Judge Kavanaugh's
Yeah.
testimony.
Yeah, sure.
And
sure.
then make a decision.
Yeah, yes, exactly. And then you may disagree. That's okay. You're doing your job.
That's right.
And then you can't say, whatever, I disagree.
But these
So
people have
that
preempted
means
their vote.
If they say that in front of me, I'll motivate my voters to recall them
As far as
get them
I'm
out.
concerned,
because
Let me
they
tell you how
refuse
strong-
to do the job.
let me share with you how strong I feel on this topic.
Mm-hmm.
I think every U.S. senator that made these declarations that I'm against
Mm-hmm.
whoever he nominates out of that list, they have preempted their vote and they should be tossed off the Judiciary Committee.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. I say that you may agree, you may not agree to a certain issue. You are doing your job.
That's right.
You can't say I disagree to whatever. That means that you're not doing your job, right? And
They have preempted their vote.
Now that you are not doing your job, and there's a door, go out.
That's
something
right.
Like that. My dear friends, let's be strong, right? Let's act, because when they declare that they are not doing the job, tell them there's a door, go out, or something like that. We're over time, but I'm so glad that we did touch the issue by depth, right? So I'm very happy about it. My dear friend, thank you for watching, and to my dear friend Drexel, I respectfully thank you very much again and again.
It's always good to be
touching
with you.
The issue by that kind of depth, saying that when you're not doing your job, go. That's it. All right.